Yo, what's up, man? My name's SUBCHVRGE. Today we're going to be breaking down my track Take Off, which is out right now. I'll leave a link in the description. You can check it out if you like. But yeah, today I'm just going to run through the project file, give you some tips and tricks and some weird unorthodox shit I did to really make this song what it is. So yeah, let's start at the beginning, man. First off, we have this synth layer from Diva, I believe. It's a BTD PL Raindrop from Diva. I have some unorthodox panning on it. Basically just using this auto pan as a volume shaper, without it, and then with it. And this is basically just to tame it a little bit. If you bump the phase all the way to 360 or 0 on the auto pan, you select the rate and then select this. It kind of acts as like a stab, trance stab, kind of just immediate ducking down volume shaper kind of thing, which is kind of cool, whatever. Valhalla delay, this is all stock Valhalla delay. Basically just drag the mix down to 36.7 and then cut out a bunch of the low end, and then I also have a utility right here right before the pre-drop to kind of just cut off all the sound from it. But yeah, that's what the main intro pluck sounds like. In addition to that, I don't think there's any effects in the first. Oh yeah, we have a little shaker transition here. Yeah, that kind of repeats a little bit later on as well. For the vocal bed, there's a lot going on in this sample. First off, it's a sample from Splice. Pitched it down one because I'm writing in D sharp minor, and the sample's in E minor. So basically just kind of cut it up a little bit, and then let me turn all these off here.
I wasted all of my time on you, on you, on you.
So basically just kind of cut it up in different areas to get different tonalities for a pad that I was trying to create. Use a little bit of pitch map.
I wasted all of my time on you, on you.
And that's in D sharp with the pentatonic minor scale. I know it doesn't say it right here, but yeah, it is D sharp pentatonic minor scale. Purifies sitting at like 75%, feeling threshold all the way up. Auto tune just to ensure that it is in fact in key.
I wasted all of my time on you.
And with this particular style of pad that I was trying to create, resonances really work well, because I'll show you a little bit later. But yeah, soprano, D sharp or E flat minor, same thing. Nothing else really changed except the retune speeds all the way up on auto tune. Cut out a bunch of low end here.
I wasted all of my time.
And then next up we have a filter that's kind of just acting as a real quick sweep down. And that real sweep down, that real quick sweep down is going to be important for this right here. I have a pad rack of basically turning anything into a pad. We have some washout, and then we have Valhalla Shimmer, which is a super nice reverb and delay plugin for creating really ridiculously long and washed out atmospheres and pads and whatnot. So, and the reason we have this really quick frequency sweep or filter sweep coming in at the very top, you get that initial initial vowel that's really in tune without it. Or if I were to just take this away, it would be like all low and kind of wouldn't really be able to hear anything. But with that little quick filter sweep, and then all of the pads and reverb, or all the shimmer, reverb, washout doing its thing afterwards, you get this really cool kind of sparkly effect that just kind of trickles down, and that's repeated pretty much up until the end of the drop. And then next up, in the vocal section, we have more vocal pads. I don't think I did anything to this. If I did, then yeah, there's no freeze on it, so there's no freeze label. So yeah, I just grabbed that, put it in, sounded perfect, applied some auto tune, and cut it up a little bit, and yeah. So that's mainly most of the vocal section. In general, as we hop into bar 9 here, we have a few different things. First off, this phase 1 guitar arpeggio. This one I did do a little bit of processing to. It's in 150, the arpeggio, and it's in F. I think it was this one, the higher end one. Yeah, so I pitched it down to, and then I had to freeze and flatten this, but I had an amp on it, I think a little bit of soothe, some saturation, some glue compression, I think a little bit of reverb and washout as well, which is why it sounds a little wet, but there's no tail on it because it's all frozen. And then, so yeah, that was that. And brass section up here. I have a brass sample that I use a lot in intros of dubstep songs. It's a long brass section right here, and then a boss fight sample for like a little bit of a lower end choir sort of sound combined together to sound like this. Super cool. We have some effects coming in. I have just a regular white noise effect right here. I have some chimes, and then I don't know if this is yeah, it's a little bit of a white noise, nothing too crazy, but just stacked on top of this, get a bit more of that. And then what else do we have? I think that's everything at bar 9, and then bar 17 is where we really start to pick it up. We have a bunch more effects coming in, vocals, the basses start getting leaked a little bit right before the drop. We'll head into the drums first. I have a Must Die snare right here. Shouts out Must Die. I've got, well, apparently no filter, but cutting out a little bit of low end, transient shaping. Got the attack pumped up a little bit just to kind of create like a really nice transient on that one. Mid-side EQ, I'm bumping a little bit out of the fundamental resonance. I don't know what that's called, but yeah, bumping a little bit of that initial hit because without it, a little too tonal, and then I just cut barely enough out of it. You can barely tell, but those are the kind of things that I'll spend like an hour on, just like, oh, what do I do? I hope somebody hears this. But yeah, I'll get lost in a sound doing that. But cutting out a bunch of the low end off of the sides, a little bit of fresh air to freshen it up without it, and then with it. It's tough to tell, but there is a little bit more of the sparkly, crispy high end on there, and then a G clip should be all the way down. But yeah, just bumping up a little bit of the gain. Yep, and I have I believe a kick right here. Yeah. This should be a kick from my sample pack. Maybe. I don't know. Regardless. Anyway. Yeah, just a little bit of a kick right here. A little bit of transient shaping. Really wanted to make these build-up drums punch and pop. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Effects, we have some more effects coming in. Basically just a bunch of risers down here. I have an Ivory riser, Virtual Riot riser, more VR risers down here, and then a few risers from myself. And we also have a VR clap sample here. A little space riser as well. So yeah, very cool, very cool. And then we have, before we move on, some filtered drop basses. So this is what I like to do quite a lot of the time, is I will take whatever drop I have for the song and apply it to the build-up as well, but then I'll filter it out and filter it back in all the way in right before the drop hits, and I'll actually apply washout as well. It kind of creates this teasing swelling pumping effect. It's clipping like a motherfucker. Yeah, it's clipping like a motherfucker, but I think that sounds pretty cool given the circumstances because the drop is very loud and aggressive, so. And there aren't too many other things happening besides the build-up risers and the drums. So I feel like a little bit of clipping right here is totally fine. I mean, it makes a huge difference, I think.
Ready to take off.
Yeah, so let's hop into the drop, man. This might be one of my favorite drops I've ever written. It was super fun to make. So I'll take a look at the main sound right here first, and then I'll try to recreate it a little bit. I'm not gonna get super accurate because the amount of times I froze and flattened this and like re-exported it and then re-imported it and then applied different effects, went back to it. The amount of times I did that was just stupid. But this is what the original kind of legato bass sounds like. And so yeah, let's recreate it a little bit. I have this samplifier sample right here. We'll just go ahead and play this. Yeah, it's this little real. Yeah. So that's what it is that I went ahead and originally sampled first. I also have this EBT sustain that I used, and this is the main sort of idea behind. Yeah, this is the main idea behind it. Yeah. So we will go ahead and take a look at Morph. This is basically how I did it right here. Morph by Synaptic is a plugin that basically just lets you morph between two sounds. You put it on whatever you want to morph, the track you want to morph. So in this case, it's this one. And then you go down here to your secondary track, what you want it to sound like. And I choose whatever track that Morph is on down here. So it's on track 68. I go down to 68, click that, and then I'll click sidechain morph, and basically now I can morph between the two. And so it was something around there, and then I think I put OTT and Camel, or not OTT and Camel Crusher, OTT and Saturator on it. There was a little bit of fresh air on the end, I believe, maybe like bumped up to. And then the one thing I do remember was that there was a formant filter before all of this. I think there was a disperser as well. Let me get rid of one of these. I think there was a disperser somewhere as well. I can't remember if it was before or after. And then let me find the O. And the original again. And it's kind of the recreation of it. I mean, so you can kind of hear it's somewhat of the same sound. I know for a fact that it was done with these two sounds and then disperser, formant filters, saturation, compression, OTT, and fresh air at the end. I don't know exactly how I did it again in that particular sample, but that's the main sort of idea. So you know, I kind of wanted to break it down a little bit, but I don't recall exactly how I did it. But yeah, that's a little bit of the process. But anyway, so we have that, and I have two basis sections actually. I have a basis section that I have a bit of processing on. I have some glue compression, some filtering, and like some really weird washout tools for like transitions. Then I have Soothe on here as well for some reason. Oh yeah, Soothe is for the second half because it was getting a little out of control. But regardless, I have Soothe right here on the second half and not on the first half. But I do, oddly enough, I'll get to that later. So yeah, that's the main sort of legato bass right there. And then I have a bunch of tonal rhythmy yoinky things underneath it. We have just basically a few things like this. Some white noise. I have a few things up here. Yeah. Basically just adding a bunch of tones to the sound. And then all together, sounds like this. And then I also, as far as basses, have some things up here. I have like a few sort of sustained basses up here for like B sections and whatnot. Sort of like a telephone glitch. I have some Nasco samples from his Patreon. Shouts out Nasco. Incredible stuff in that Patreon. If you guys aren't subscribed, definitely get subscribed. Yeah, I love some of his stuff in here. Basically just basses and glitches cut up and used in like different ways to really ensure that the entire frequency spectrum is covered. And some glitches that cut up and just done a bunch of really weird things to them as well. Yeah, very cool. But yeah, that's kind of all the bases for effects and, you know, sort of other things. Oh, this sub layer. Okay, so this was really weird. I had never really done this, but this this bass right here had so much sub bass kind of cooked into it that like I didn't really need too much of a separate sub, which is not something I normally do, but it sounded great, and so I just said, you know what, if it sounds good, it sounds good. So this thing has so much sub bass in it, especially this little harmonic peak right there. And I'm also clipping like a motherfucker over here, but it's okay because the entire thing is being soft clipped and the master has a G clip on it as well. But regardless, this sub layer was like such an afterthought. Like I didn't think I needed it too much until I actually put it on there, and I was like, oh yeah, there's a little bit of low end right here that could benefit from having a bit more sub. So filtered it out to like 200 with a super low cut. Like I'm just basically rolling off the 0 to 100 range right here. The oscilloscope looked good, somewhat of a sine wave, not perfect, but you know what is. And then cranking the gain on G clip up like halfway, and then putting the softness all the way on because, you know, the sub being hard clipped in this kind of song isn't like super necessary. But yeah, I just added like a little bit of the sub bass in the background. So I'll go between them a little bit so you can kind of hear it. It's not super necessary at all, but I think it just kind of like fit the pieces where the sub bass was a little bit lacking. So yeah, move on. It's basically a little bit of that with like some variations in the basses, and I think for like the second half I used this chime sample, which is just like a resonance peak for tonality. Yeah, and then in context. It's very, very subtle, but it adds like a nice little layer back there as well. Apparently it had an ivory bass in here as well. Yeah, that adds quite a bit as well. And then moving on to the second drop, it's basically, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of copy paste a little bit, but the main thing that I did was add a shaper box. This is kind of acting as like a really quick rhythm kind of shaping, where you have like the 4 on the floor, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then some things are being affected, some things aren't. I think there's some white noise up here, or like some risers up here that aren't being affected by the sound. And then we have more effects. I'll just play the effects of the second drop. You always want to be rising in tension during your drops, pretty much throughout the entire song, honestly. That's how you create momentum in a song. But stuff up here as well. Got some really high-end squeaky shit, some distorted noise. Distorted white noise on the top end is like super, super clutch for creating some of these textures that you hear in modern day dubstep and rhythm song. But yeah, like I said, the main difference is this shaper box right here. Apart from switching up some of the flows and some of the stylistic choices of the drop, like we have some we just have like a few basic little differences, and then again with that shaper box on the entire basses section, really just creating a different sort of flow for it. But yeah, really quick before I end the video, the master, it's like, I don't know. I don't know why I have a soothe on the master. I don't know why. I was watching a Reed Stefan video, realest puppet in the game, shouts out. And and he made a TikTok on how to really nail using soothe on the master, and I thought I made the song sound a little bit better. Normally I wouldn't, but like, I mean, the song sounds okay, I think. So, yeah, I kind of just like, not copied, but like I definitely used the information from that video to kind of tweak for my own personal mix down sake how I wanted some of this stuff to be processed. I wanted less resonances on like 1 peak or 2 peaks, or kind of just like really hard aggressive processing but not bumped up all the way. And then I have just a good old trusty G clip, hard clipping the entire thing afterwards. And normally I'll have the G clip on here, but I won't normally have soothe on here. So I don't know, man. It sounded cool, and I was just kind of in an experimentation mood, and yeah. So it ended up working out quite well. I think, at least. I don't know. Other people might not, but I do. So that's all that matters at the end of the day, as long as you like what you're making. I have a gain being automated down here, and that's basically just to give a little bit more anticipation for the drop. It's like being automated down like 3 decibels.
Ready to take off.
And then the width is also being like dramatically taken away, so it's kind of just narrowing, and then when the drop hits, it's all bang, stereo again. Yeah, so that's the main idea. This video's narrowing on 25 minutes, so I'm gonna end it right here. Hopefully I showed you enough of the project. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, please feel free to leave them down below in the comment section. There will also be a link to the song. Again, Take Off is out now, so definitely go feel free to listen to it. Also buy my sample pack. Charge Pack Volume 1 is out now as well. You can buy the whole thing, or you can buy little sections of basses, drums, or ambiances and effects. So thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Peace, love, all that good stuff, and yeah. See you.